Alrighty, welcome back. Today we're bringing you the GoatGuns P90. This thing is pretty awesome. We're going to do a quick overview and then we're going to take it apart. This will be my first one, but this is going with a set of 3 in a gambler design. But let's get into it. So right off the bat, you have several moving parts on this. It is fairly light, but it does have you have your moving trigger with a mechanical safety, which is kind of neat. So you can lock your safety and the trigger is locked. You've got your charging handle, which will also strip and eject rounds that'll come out of the bottom. It poops them right out like your traditional P90. You can pop off and remove the mag like traditional. And then, of course, your front piece and sight post all comes off like that. Your charging handle will remove this way. And that's pretty much what comes with it. So it's pretty straightforward, not a lot of parts to assemble. And some people actually prefer that. But we just get it like this, slide it right in place, snap that in, go ahead and drop your mag. Bam. That's it. Now, it's kind of cool in your mag, you load your 3 little rounds right in there. And when you put it on, it's important to make sure that they're fully seated so that when you charge them, it strips them in there. That's it. All there is to it. Pretty nice and simple. One thing I will show is you can, of course, take off the brake. And this is a third-party 3D printed one, just one of the random ones, and the threading on it does work. So if you wanted to add a really cool 3D printed suppressor, there you go. These are made by Ray in the GoatGuns Addicts group, if that's something you want to do. So we're going to go ahead and start taking apart. Let's get into it. Here we go. First things first, we already know when I pull the mag, it's not going to get painted. It's going to get there. Our muzzle device is going to get painted. We're going to pull this piece off. Now this is actually has a plate under here, and it has removable pick rails right there. And this plate simply just maintains the spring pressure on the locking mechanism. So we'll take that apart as well. And of course, we'll pull this out. These have handles that are actually screwed on, so we'll have to take those off as well. And then this is held together by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Allen screws. The butt plate just comes off by pushing that little button, popping the plate. Now we're going to leave the plate black, I think. I always change my mind as I go. We'll see how it goes. Back here, we've got a plate that holds the action in place. So these rods slide back against these 2 spots right here, and that's where the rods are housed, and there's going to be 2 springs in there. Now this is the first one I've taken apart. I have a pretty good idea what I'm getting into. And I don't think there's a ton of pressure based on how hard it is to pull the charging handle on it. But you still want to be careful that it doesn't go shooting your little plate backwards. Yeah, you can see the springs are pushing it already. Let's go ahead and get that out. All right, so we're going to bag up our 4 little screws in this plate so we don't lose those. I'm trying to lose them right now. Okay, here we go. So we've got 2 springs, 2 metal rods, and your action. So these rods just go in here like this, and they max out on the inside. So when you put this whole mechanism back inside like this, the rods only go so far. They stop right in there. So that's your whole mechanism. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, honestly. We got a piece right in there. It's going to come apart when we take the body apart. We've got this mechanism, which is going to be held in by a spring behind it. And of course, the trigger, which is held in by a spring. And we've got our spring lock, which sounds like it's going to have a detent in there. So I'm going to guess that's in there. So those are pieces we're going to be careful of. So let's go ahead and bag our action. And there we go. Actually, before we get into that, let's just go ahead and really quickly take these parts. I will probably not paint this tray. Maybe actually, yeah. I think if I do that red, that's going to sit right there. Yeah, we're going to paint the charging handle, sorry. Let's put these two little screws away because I know I'm going to lose those bad boys. They are tiny. But there, that's getting painted. This is undecided. So it's going to go in a bag until I decide what to do with it. Let's go ahead and get this apart. Got randomly we switch over to Allen screws. These are tiny Allen screws. Yeah, there we go. They're tight. Now, as usual, if you're just interested in the P90, the first part of it is pretty much all you need. But if you like to watch things be taken apart, or you want to do stuff to paint, then this is the way to go. This one's giving me a little bit of a hard time coming out here. We're just going to wiggle it around and figure out what is keeping it in place. Okay. Be careful not, there we go, it just was hung up. Not to force it and bend it. Cool, so pretty simple. There's our little keeper. This goes up in there, so you just have to make sure, obviously, when you put this in, you put it back in the right direction. Because it's going to lock in, and your spring will go back in like that, and then put this back in that way and holds everything in place. So really, really simple, even though there's a lot of little parts to it. Not complicated. And we're not going to paint any of that. There's no need to paint the under piece because it will be gone, hidden. This takes the regular size. Nope. Also a small one. Okay. There we go. I can tell they painted all this together. I may leave these black, but the rest of it is one solid piece. So cool. That'll get painted. These screws are going to go in the baggie. And then I'm going to put these in here for now. It does two things. One, I'll decide if I want to paint that when the project's done. I always have some black accents. But it also makes sure that these screws stay with those parts. So that makes it easier not to forget because I'm already at this many bags with parts, okay? All right. Sorry about that. Okay, let's do, I think this is, yeah, this bigger one goes to the rest of that. And of course, we have a stand, so we're going to be painting the stand. And I got my tri-trays here. Let's go ahead and start loading it up. That's all going to get painted. Okay. There are a lot of screws in this bad boy. So good news here. All these screws are the same length, so don't have to worry about which screw goes in which hole. So even though the bodies all have different thicknesses, they did us a favor by making all the screws the same length. Okay, so we're going to have some springs that are going to want to come loose. They typically have little keepers in there, so let's take a look and see what we're working with. And what might be holding it together. This part you want to be really careful not to force or break anything. So what I do is I use the pick and I just twist it like this to look for openings and gaps to see what's held together. This feels like something's still holding it together in there, but I can't quite tell what it is. All right. I wanted to show this to you close up. It's pretty complicated. Getting apart is challenging, and there's a couple of things I learned along the way, but I wanted to show you here. So this is the detent. See if this stays in focus for us here. This detent right here in a spring stays captured. That's what actually clicks on the bottom of the safety when you rotate it and it goes click, click. That detent is touching the bottom of that. Then this piece here sits in this channel, and that has a little rod that goes through the center of the safety. And then on top, your trigger goes in this channel, pushes against the spring. It also has a tiny little pin on the bottom, which hooks on the back side of the safety. So when you rotate the safety, that little pin is what gets locked in place and keeps the trigger from going backwards. This piece will fall right out on you once it's already come apart. It only goes in one way. It's got these two posts. It goes in. That's great. Your mag release is the part that's a little bit confusing because it doesn't have a way of just coming out. You have to actually snap it out. So what I'm going to attempt to do is put this together for you. Oh, and this is the last piece here, and it goes up front like that. And that's just what captures the front post hole here. I'm going to attempt to put this back together without it falling apart because, man, there's so many effing little pieces. All right. Cool. So once you get it all in, you got to be patient, get it all in there. Your mag release, this little effer, it took me a minute, and I finally just was like, you know what? There's only one other way it works. So you just got to work it in, and it snaps in on both sides. So there's your mag release. Okay, we're up and running. Woo! So again, pry it apart. I just use this to get the main body apart. The first thing you want to do here is fingernails or push the lips off of that, and that'll take that off. That's what was keeping my body together. This is going to fall all apart when you take it apart. That's okay. The reason I wanted to take the time to show you is so that you can understand how it goes back together in the event that you try to put it back together. So we're just going to work our way through here. There we go. See, it just immediately comes from together. So that's it. Those are all our parts. Now that we know how they work, we can go ahead and put them all back together. I'm going to make sure we bag up our detent and everything. Just going to set this aside. All these parts are going to go in a baggie because they're all going to be used for reassembly for the same piece. And then I think once you see how it works, getting it together just takes a little patience. Not super hard. It's a little complicated. There's our body. We're going to paint that. We're going to paint this. And we're going to paint these pieces. And of course, we're going to do the gambler on the bottom. And this goes on the stand right there. So that's it. So now we're going to go do our paint work. And I got 3 different ones of these to do. But I hope this was helpful. You know, if you find this helpful, like, subscribe. I want to be able to do more disassemblies and assemblies. And these things are designed specifically just to help people learn how to do it. So let me know what you think. Deuces.